What the heck? Welcome back to another video, guys. My name is Jordan, and on today's episode I'm teaching you how to edit GoPro photos underwater, or action cam photos underwater. I use a GoPro. I've been using a GoPro for 5 years, and yes, unfortunately, when you're taking photos, especially underwater, the photos do not really come out as planned. A lot of the time, they need a lot of editing to make them look good, to even just recover them, to make them look somewhat palatable. Freaking love that word. I've been really loving the word palatable lately. So sorry for using it, but it's just so good. Okay, anyway, have you ever seen GoPro photos online and gone, my photos don't look like that? And then you're wondering how they're getting these amazing shots? Well, guess what, guys? A lot of it is to do with the editing. I would say majority of GoPro photos that are taken underwater are all to do with the editing, like 80%. Because you've probably got some really cool photos on your hard drive, but you just didn't know how to edit them correctly. So that's what we're here to do today. We're going to dive right into Lightroom and we're going to get this tutorial underway.
Alright, we're in Lightroom and we have our photo imported. This is the photo we're going to be editing today. The first thing I do before anything is I click on my presets, my GoPro presets. They just help me give me an easy foundation to start the editing process. If you are interested, you can check out my GoPro Lightroom presets, link will be in description, but if not, that's totally fine. Here are the settings that I originally used to brighten up and contrast my photo before we get started into the real edit. Already you can see with just one click of a button, the photo is quite bright and sort of like very contrasted, which is the way I like it. Now I'm going to fiddle with the exposure just for a second before we get started with the main first tip. Tip number one is that the adjustment brush, which is this thing which hides in the top right corner, is going to be your best friend. You're going to have to isolate a lot of different things on this image, so get used to using this. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to isolate the human that is under the water, because generally on a GoPro, it doesn't capture the color of a human sort of skin underwater very well, or animals in fact. It washes out with a lot of blue. So to get that looking normal again, we're going to change the temp and the tint. We're going to make it warmer with the yellows, and also we're going to focus on heavy pinks because the pink is what's missing a lot in this image, and bringing it up brings it back to what looks kind of normal, which is great. As you can see, it looks way better and more natural, and that is back to my skin tone, which is exactly what we wanted. Alright. Next step, I quickly did the exact same thing to the rock formation in the background. It was just a bit overexposed, so I brought it down and colored it up a little bit. And you guessed it, that's exactly what we're doing now with the blue in the water. This is going to be fundamental to the photo as it takes up the most of the space. So we want to make sure we highlight this correctly and then also color it correctly. Once we've used the adjustment brush to select the ocean, we're just going to fiddle around with the temperature and tint again, along with the contrast, exposure and clarity. That whole top section, just to see what we like. Too green? Nah. Too blue? Get it somewhere in the middle, somewhere you think that looks most natural. For me, I think around here looks best. This next step I realized was necessary because GoPro underwater shoots very flat. Everything seems to be, not that much depth to it. So what we do is we highlight the area that would be in the backdrop, the ocean floor, the ocean behind, and we're just going to darken it. We're going to use the exposure and the shadow tool just to darken that setting so it adds a little bit more depth and a little bit more, dimension to the shot. Alright, that's starting to look pretty decent now. So when you have the darkness, you need to add the light. And in this regard, there is some awesome light rays that we're going to try and bring out in the top corner here. Now this is going to be a bit tricky. This is probably going to be the most technical part of the editing, is because you're kind of painting in light rays. The light rays are there, but you're exaggerating them to such an extent that it can look unnatural if you don't do it right. So the way I did this with the adjustment brush is if you click Option, or on a Windows computer it will be Alt, you can actually get the minus brush and you can minus a little rays out of the corner, if that makes sense. So what I've been doing is just coloring in the whole area and then brushing through to try and make natural streaks. This is going to take a little bit to master, so just experiment with the exposure, the highlights, the shadows, the clarity, and the contrast until you find something that you think looks pretty good. After that, I realized that I actually wanted the ocean floor a bit darker, so I just went and fiddled with that to touch it up for a second. Then I didn't like how green the rock looked underwater, so again, I grabbed the adjustment brush, I highlighted the area I want to change, and I put a bit more pinks and a bit more warmth in the shot. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Now we're going to go up to the finer details and grab the spot removal tool and just take out all of these little water droplets that are on the dome. For those who don't know, I shot this on a GoPro Dome. Link in bio if you want to check out the affiliate link for the product that I use. So far so good. Next up, I grabbed the radial filter because I wanted to exaggerate the natural light source and just sort of make it obvious that that is where the sun is from, and just brighten it up a little bit in the horizon. That's where the sun was coming from naturally, so I thought why not just exaggerate that a little bit, and I think it looks pretty good. After slight exposure fixes, we're going to go down to enable profile corrections. Now this is really cool because with the GoPro it shoots in a fisheye, and this allows you to distort the image to take out that fisheye. I generally like the fisheye feel, so I'm just going to go to 45% with that distortion number. Then I'm going to do a quick vignette just to darken the edges a little bit to make myself a bit more of the focus. I just noticed that the blue in the middle of the frame is just a little bit unnatural and a little bit too extreme for me, so I'm just going to quickly highlight it and paint just like the technique we've been doing the whole tutorial, just to get that more of a natural color and a little bit less saturated. And with some final exposure and contrast adjustments, that's about it. That's pretty much the exact method I do for photos that go underwater. You can see this through a lot of my different shots, and I think it looks pretty good. If we want to take a look at the before and after, you can see that I have really brought it out, made it quite light, quite colored and contrasted, which is the style that I like. Obviously, if you like a different kind of style, you can just go with that, but this is just the method that I use. GoPro photos can be high quality. You've just got to know what you're doing, and you've really just got to know what you're doing in the edit. We obviously use the adjustment brush a lot, and we isolate a lot of different things with it. I think it's a great tool to use, and we use our presets, and that's about it. We came out with a pretty good quality shot in the end.
And there you have it, guys. I hope you learned something on this quick GoPro editing tutorial. If you want more like this, leave a comment below. If you want something different, leave a comment below. I'm just telling you to leave a comment below. And subscribe. Make sure you subscribe because every week we have a new video here on my little channel. And if you want to learn more about the photo process or how I edit my photos, you can check out my presets. The link is below. Apart from that, guys, I will see you in the next one. What the heck? Goodbye.